Margaret had been cleaning offices for 37 years, her hands weathered from countless hours with cleaning supplies, moved with practiced efficiency through the executive floors of Hartwell Technologies. At 62, she had seen companies rise and fall, witnessed countless meetings through glass conference room doors, and learned to be invisible in the way that service workers often must. But Margaret had a secret. Every evening, after the last executive had gone home, she would linger at the computers that displayed complex financial models and coding problems. She had taught herself programming during the lonely hours of her late husband's illness, finding solace in the logical beauty of code when nothing else in life made sense. On this particular Tuesday evening in November, the autumn rain tapped gently against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the 42nd floor. Margaret pushed her cart past the conference room where CEO Thomas Bradley sat alone, his head in his hands, surrounded by printouts and empty coffee cups. She had seen before, in other companies, with other executives, the weight of impossible decisions pressing down on shoulders that weren't built to carry such burdens alone. Margaret paused, her hand resting on her cart handle. Through the glass, she could see the problem displayed on the massive screen. It was a data encryption algorithm that had been causing the company's security team headaches for months. A $200 million government contract hung in the balance, waiting for a solution that seemed impossibly complex. But to Margaret, who had spent years solving puzzles during her husband's chemotherapy sessions, the pattern was clear. She knocked softly on the conference room door. Thomas looked up, surprised. In all his 15 years as CEO, he couldn't recall the cleaning staff ever interrupting him. His first instinct was irritation, but something in the older woman's gentle expression stopped him. "I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Bradley," Margaret said quietly, her voice carrying the soft cadence of someone who had learned to speak carefully in corporate spaces. "I couldn't help but notice you've been working on this encryption problem." Thomas blinked, uncertain how to respond. "Yes, well, it's quite technical. We've had our best programmers working on it for weeks." Margaret nodded thoughtfully. "May I?" She gestured toward the screen. Something about her calm confidence made Thomas step aside. Margaret approached the keyboard, her yellow cleaning gloves still on her hands. She studied the code for a moment, then began typing . Her fingers moved with surprising speed and precision. Lines of code appeared, elegant in their simplicity. Within minutes, she had restructured the entire algorithm, eliminating redundancies and creating a pathway that the company's programmers had missed. Thomas watched in stunned silence as the computer ran the new code. Green check marks appeared across the screen. The encryption that had stumped his million-dollar team was suddenly working flawlessly. "How did you—" Thomas began, but Margaret was already stepping back, removing her gloves. "My late husband, Robert, was a computer engineer," she explained softly. "During his illness, I spent many nights at the hospital learning programming. It gave me something to focus on when everything else felt out of control. I've been practicing for 12 years now." Thomas sat down heavily in his chair, processing what had just happened. "Margaret, isn't it?" "Yes, sir?" "Margaret, do you realize you've just solved a problem that could save this company? This contract, it means jobs for hundreds of people." Margaret's eyes brightened slightly. "I'm glad I could help. I know how hard you've all been working on it." For a long moment, they stood in the warm glow of the office lights, rain still pattering against the windows. Thomas felt something shift inside him, a recognition that challenged everything he thought he knew about value and worth. "Margaret," he said finally, "would you be willing to have coffee with me tomorrow morning? I'd like to discuss something with you." The next morning, Margaret arrived at Thomas's office wearing her best dress, a simple navy blue outfit she typically reserved for church. She had barely slept, wondering what the CEO could possibly want to discuss. Thomas greeted her with genuine warmth, pouring coffee from a silver service set. "Margaret, I've been thinking about last night, about what you did, and about what it means." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I want to offer you a position in our IT development team, full salary, benefits, the works. Your solution last night was brilliant, but more than that, it showed a kind of intuitive understanding that can't be taught. Margaret's coffee cup trembled slightly in her hands. Mr. Bradley, that's very kind, but I'm not sure I have the proper credentials. I never went to college. I learned everything on my own. Some of the best programmers I know are... Thomas replied gently. And you have something more valuable than credentials. You have wisdom, experience, and clearly exceptional talent. The question is, would you be interested? Margaret was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the city skyline. I've been cleaning offices for most of my adult life. People look through me like I'm invisible. Are you sure your team would accept someone like me? Thomas leaned forward. Margaret, yesterday you solved in minutes what stumped our entire team for weeks. But beyond that, you've been part of this company for... How long? 15 years. Next month? 15 years. You've seen this company through good times and bad. You know its rhythms, its people. That kind of institutional knowledge is invaluable. Over the following weeks, Margaret's transition into the IT department became a quiet revolution. At first, some of the younger programmers were skeptical, but Margaret's gentle manner and undeniable skill quickly won them over. She approached problems with a patience and methodical thinking that came from years of experience, of understanding that the best solutions often required careful observation rather than rushed implementation. Thomas made sure Margaret received not just a competitive salary, but also stock options in the company. When the government contract was finalized, worth $215 million, Margaret's contribution was recognized with a substantial bonus. But the real transformation happened throughout the company. Thomas began looking more carefully at all his employees, wondering what hidden talents and untapped potential existed within his organization. He started regular coffee conversations with workers from every department, from maintenance to marketing. The cafeteria worker who had innovative ideas about sustainable food sourcing became part of the environmental team. The security guard, with a background in logistics, helped streamline the company's supply chain. The part-time receptionist who spoke 4 languages became instrumental in international client relations. 6 months later, at the company's annual meeting, Thomas stood before shareholders and employees alike. Margaret sat in the front row, no longer invisible, wearing a tailored business suit, but still carrying herself with the same gentle dignity she had always possessed. This year, Thomas began, we learned something important about value, about seeing the people who have been with us all along, and recognizing that talent and wisdom can be found in the most unexpected places. He looked directly at Margaret. We learned that sometimes the solution to our biggest problems is sitting right in front of us, waiting patiently for someone to notice. After the meeting, Margaret found herself surrounded by colleagues and shareholders wanting to congratulate her. But the moment that meant the most came when young Jessica, new programmer fresh out of college, approached her. Mrs. Margaret, Jessica said, I wanted to thank you, the way you've mentored our team, the patience you show when we're stuck on a problem. You've taught me that being smart isn't just about knowing algorithms. It's about understanding people and taking time to really see a problem. Margaret smiled, remembering her late husband Robert, who had always told her that kindness was its own form of intelligence. Honey, she said to Jessica, the best code in the world means nothing if it doesn't help real people solve real problems. Never forget that behind every program, there are human beings whose lives we're trying to improve. But for her, the real satisfaction came from the work itself, from being truly seen and valued for the first time in decades. She kept a small photo of Robert on her new desk, and sometimes, when she solved a particularly challenging problem, she could almost hear his proud laughter echoing through the corridors of Hartwell. Technologies, the cleaning cart, had been replaced by a computer workstation, but Margaret's fundamental nature remained unchanged. She still noticed the small details others missed. The memory always brought a smile to her face, not because it changed her life so dramatically, but because it reminded her that we all carry gifts within us, waiting for the right moment, the right person, to help them shine. In the end, Margaret had solved more than just a coding problem. She had reminded an entire company that wisdom and talent come in many forms, and that true leadership means creating space for everyone to contribute their unique gifts to the world.